So let's switch gears now, everyone, and take a look at the debate over the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which has generated much controversy. You remember that splitted the Senate chamber when the lawmakers in the red chamber, in the upper chamber of the National Assembly, when they put it to vote, and there was a lot of drama about electronic transmission of results, what the APC lawmakers said, what some of the opposition lawmakers were doing. So much was said about it. In fact, political parties have weighed in on this. Nigerians, lawyers have talked about it. But today, the Senate appears to have seen reasons for the outrage and the public outcry on the amendments done to the bill, and have now decided to empower the electoral umpire, INEC, to determine the procedure for transmission of results during elections. During the resumption of plenary for the week, the Senate made these amendments to some clauses of the Electoral Act Amendment and Repealing and Reenactment Bill 2021 and passed on July 15, 2021. And so I'd like you to take a listen to some of the debate on the floor today, and we dig deeper because I'll bring to you those clauses. You will see the changes, the old one, how they repealed, what they've done, and the way forward. Take a listen to some parts of the debate today on the floor.
Mr. President, advance the cause of our democracy. Indirect primary is more applicable to our situation in our country. A good percentage of party members are still, majority are still literate, especially in the rural areas. And they're asking us to conduct, asking them to come and vote. We require a lot of enlightenment rather than having the indirect that would limit the numbers of those who can participate in primary elections. So I hold the view, Mr. President, that it is more cheaper, less cumbersome to have indirect primary elections.
The original situation was that parties were left to determine which method suits them. And I think the only problem we have with this one is that not every party has the capacity to be able to organize direct primaries. So I think that we may still have to leave it in the way it is so that the parties that have the capacity can do direct, parties that don't have the capacity. Mr. President, those are my views. And I think that with those views, I rest my case.
Yeah, those are some of the positions of some of the lawmakers on the floor today. So let's get talking. Let me introduce my guests to you, then I'll flash you some of the clauses so you get a sense of what it means. We have our friend back in the studio with us because when we're talking about the Electoral Amendment, he's the one that is in the forefront. He's the chair of the INEC Committee in the Senate, Senator Kabiru Gaya, former governor of Kano. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
And Honorable Babajimi Benson, a member of the House and chair of the House Committee on the Army Defense. Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming.
Thank you very much, Joe.
All right. There is a strong point where we bring Honorable Benson in because of what became a very, very naughty issue on the floor of the Senate today. But let me show you some portions of very interesting debate. First and foremost, it's about the electronic transmission of results. You've been talking about it. What does it look like? So, see the new, first of all, take your eyes to the old one. This is how it reads. The commission shall provide suitable boxes or any other voting device for the conduct of election. Take a look at how they've adjusted it. The commission shall provide suitable boxes, electronic voting machine, or any other voting device for the conduct of elections. This is fluid and very much different. So, which other one that is very significant? So, on the open secret ballot, This is the old one. Voting at an election under this bill shall be in accordance with the procedure determined by the Commission, which may include electronic voting. So this is how it's been adjusted. Subject to Section 63 of this bill, voting at any election, transmission of result under the bill shall be in accordance with the procedure determined by the Commission. So take a look at the counting of votes and forms. It reads, the presiding officer shall transfer the result, including total number of accredited voters and the result of the ballot, in a manner as prescribed by the Commission. The old one reads that the presiding officer shall transmit the result, including total number of accredited voters and the result of the ballot, in a manner as prescribed by the Commission. Now, this is another naughty one. It's about primaries in the political party, direct or indirect. So the old one says a political party seeking to nominate candidates for elections under this act shall hold direct or indirect primaries for aspirants to all elective positions, which may be monitored by the Commission. The new one now says a political party seeking to nominate candidates for elections under this bill shall hold direct primaries for aspirants to all elective positions, which shall be monitored by the Commission. You get a clear picture, Nigerians. Let's get talking. Senator Gaya, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you too for having
It does look like the Senate, the senators, they listen to Nigerians.
Yeah.
There was a public outcry. What made the lawmakers retrace their steps?
First of all, we are representative of the people. And in the National Assembly, whether Senate or House, we represent our people. And anytime we're making amendment on any bill, not necessarily electoral bill, even the Constitution, we go down to the constituencies and invite people to give us their own opinion. So when you have a lot of outcry on issues by the Nigerians, we have to listen to them. And that's why I found that some issues were really amended because of the outcry of Nigerians. And I believe you are one of the champions of that.
I'm very much interested. As a political journalist, Electoral Act is one of my instruments that I use for my job. So when you look at it, that's how you monitor elections. That's what guides the conduct of elections. So are you happy now that your colleagues are now debating the bill based on what Nigerians are likely to want?
Well, I'm very happy with that because I'm pleased with my colleagues for what we have today. What we're finally, because when we pass the bill in the Senate, we have to now recommit the bill again for other amendment before you go into conference between the Senate and the House. And that's what we did today. We found that a lot of arguments for us to agree on the final document for discussions when we come to concurrence with the House members. So that agreement, that issues or debate between direct primaries, indirect primaries, a lot of us have been in this game of politics, and we have seen how it's going on, the advantages and disadvantages of every decision.
We'll go there. We'll go there. I'm just getting the surface. We still have enough time to talk about it because I know Honorable has his position, and the House also has its position on that. When will the concurrence be with the House? When are you going to make the agreement, the conference?
We're hoping to do the conference next week, immediately after the break. There will be a holiday.
You have another break?
There will be a holiday for Maulud. Okay. And maybe after that one, before the end of next week, we'll meet for about 2 days or 3. Then we'll bring it back to the floor of the Senate, even though we are now discussing on the issue of the budget. But yet, when we are done, we can call the House back.
Because a lot of Nigerians are looking, experts are saying that you need to pass the electoral amendment so that it will be useful for the next election because of what the law says about the timeline, that you can alter the law before the next cycle of election.
We'll pass it definitely before the end of this year. We'll pass in the next few weeks and then submit to the president. I believe the president may sign the bill before the end of this year. It's a bill that is needed in order to run a smooth, free, fair, and credible election. And that's why we had to go through all these things. We have taken over a year plus on this process, simply trying to get what people needed, not Nigerians want. And I believe we have what Nigerians want. And I told you that day when you are in Lagos. Now you are in Abuja. Welcome to Abuja.
Thank you.
At least when you are in Lagos, you are telling me, when are we getting this bill ready? I said, it's not the time that matters. It's giving a good output, a good product. And I believe this electoral act will be in the interest of the nation, and it will help in sanitizing the election. We also have this Electoral Offences Commission, which that bill we are working on it too, for all those offenders during the election will be sincerely punished.
All right.
For that.
Let's take a breather because we're due for a break. And when we come back, we dig deep into it. And it's good for us to get the information and the background about the bill and the administrative part of things. When we come back, what is direct primaries? What is indirect primaries? The issue of consensus is even generating controversies in the political parties. But with the position from today, does it change anything? We get insight when we come back from this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation. So, what the lawmakers did not agree on today, or what became a very major form of point for debate, was the issue of the direct and indirect primaries. The mode of primaries to elect candidates that will fly the party flags for the election was contentious. Is it direct or indirect? But it does look like the clause 87 from giving a democratic a blanket option for political parties. It does look like the Senate have now streamlined, following to what the House agreed on the last time. So, Honorable Benson, this was a position of the House. The House wanted, and if I remember, it was the Speaker, Honorable Bajabia Miller, who raised that motion that direct primary mode should be used for a primary election. Why?
Firstly, thank you very much. Democracy, freedom to participate, freedom to have a process, freedom to have inclusiveness. The Speaker, in his wisdom, during the consideration of the report, brought out a motion seeking to ensure that all parties use the direct mode of primaries to elect the candidates for various political positions. I think it's a step in the right direction. If you remember the freest and the fairest election in Nigeria, people talk about the June 12th. June 12th wasn't about just the victory. It was about how the candidate emerged, which was MKO Abiola. People queued behind their favorite candidate in different wards to elect him as a party flag bearer. So that is what the speaker in his wisdom is trying to bring back to Nigerians. He's trying to bring back inclusiveness so that godfatherism, favoritism, and popular candidates can step out.
So it's an all-comers affair.
It's an all-comers affair.
But the question is, for our viewers, maybe we should break it down.
It's
So
an
for those
all party
members,
affair,
yeah, so
not
all comers,
exactly.
I mean, in the sense of the membership of the political party. So for a lot of people who do not know or don't understand, when you say direct primaries, that means every member of the party has opportunity to be able to vote for the candidate.
Every
so
card-carrying member.
every card carrying member, every member, registered card carrying member will be able to elect the candidate of the party. The indirect is a delegate election where there are just selected people that will take part in the primaries. So the question is, so we understand. So that is perhaps not even the only way under our law. Consensus is also part of the mode of electing. This is where stakeholders agree without necessarily going into an election, and they agree on one person that will represent the party. So the big question here, Honorable.
Sorry, point of correction.
Yeah.
If the direct primary mode is adopted, the consensus is thrown out of the window.
Because consensus come with...
because if the direct primaries, you have to queue behind the most favored, most popular candidate. Everybody queues. Except that the community agrees that only this man is good enough. Then you still have to queue behind him and affirm him as the winner.
So the question that some of the lawmakers are raising is, how cheap is this process?
It is the cheapest. And
compared to indirect?
Yes, I remember one of our national leaders, he calls the indirect because you use delegates. He calls the delegates delegates.
How? Why?
Because some people can sit in the room with billions of naira or millions of naira and direct the delegates to vote that way.
What he's saying that the delegates are delicate.
Yeah, I understand. It's a political language,
exactly,
which a lot of our viewers may not understand.
Exactly.
These are the language that politicians use.
Exactly.
For our audience tonight, rather than having people in a room, just a few people that are delegates to vote, you have everybody. So the question is that, in fact, there was a big question during the elections, during the pandemic, where people say, how can you use a direct primary mode in a pandemic where everyone had to converge rather than having just a limited people? So, Senator, what was the sense behind that?
Well, first of all, direct primaries is the easiest form of democracy that people get satisfied with. Because in every locality, which means every ward, for example, I have 172 wards as in my constituency. If we are going to do direct primaries, all those 172 wards, you'll have people. So when you talk of buying votes, it will be difficult for you to buy votes in all 172 locations. So you got to be popular candidate or popular aspirant so that you can be voted into office. I was a product of these primaries in 1991. We did direct primaries when I was running for a governor, quite a young man. People felt I'm not that strong enough, but I went around to every constituency in my state. That time was including Kano and Jigawa at the time before Jigawa was created. So I went around and I became popular. So people came to defend their candidate, which is me, to support me. And they were there, they queued up. People line up, they put a picture of a candidate and people line up behind that candidate, and then we were voted into office. So I believe the direct primaries is the easiest form and the most credible form of democratic election. But when you talk of delegates, as you said, there are people that you can put them in one hole, and then the highest bidder take the position. Somebody can come who is not even a strong member of the party. He just had his money, and he can come in and say, well, I want Trump for this position. And because he had that money, he can now buy delegates, and delegate will simply go for the highest bidder. And unfortunately, if I'm a candidate and I paid money to be elected, it means I've invested money into that business. I won't call it a political position, but into business, because you have to recover the money you put into that election, which means the officer will be corrupt, and then there will be so many things that the people wanted and they may not get it. But when you do direct primaries, you will have believe in yourself that these people, you owe them responsibilities. You have to serve them because they did this and that for you,
Senator,
and they voted you into office. Yes.
Senator, so I've spoken to a lot of lawmakers today,
Yeah.
and I've spoken with a few governors today.
Well done for wide consultation.
So what I try to do is also to get a sense in what is happening within the political climate. And what I hear is that this is a revolt by the lawmakers against the governors.
No, well, I'm a former governor.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of revolt. But for us to have a strength in politics and to have credible people into office, you just have to do these direct primaries.
Why do they think that is a revolt against the governors?
Well, because sometimes when you have governors, they have the delegates, and they decide who will be the next House of Rep member or Senator member.
So
or even State
invariably,
Assembly.
the truth here is that lawmakers want to take their destiny off the hands of one person. Is that what is happening?
Exactly. It gives the candidates a better opportunity to be able to put their hats in the ring.
And you see the problem we face in the National Assembly. The legislators, the best legislators are those who come back again because of the experience. But these days, because of what's happening, because of this interference of indirect primary, you find that only 30% of us comes back to the National Assembly. Of course, you are losing 70%, and you're losing experienced people. And in the National Assembly, the more you come, the more experienced you become.
So this is a means of empowering yourselves.
So which means empowering the legislator. It's very important.
This is a means of the lawmakers empowering themselves.
I disagree. I believe it's giving power to the people to decide who their representatives or their governor or who any of the political positions that are available is giving power to the people to decide. Because you're going away from a few people deciding who their representatives is to the greater good of people. They can see this man and say, oh, this is the man we like. He's done community service for us. We're going to queue behind him. And that he has a fair chance of putting his hat in the ring. Right. As opposed to a delegate system where a few people, highest bidder, or somebody with a remote control somewhere can say, this is the money, go this way.
So the money bags may not be able to have their way.
Exactly.
That's the ultimate plan.
And it gives power to people who don't have money and who are popular and who have the standing in the community to be able to be elected as flag bearers of a party.
So now, when you said it's cheaper, there are a lot of people who have contested it. That's not true. It's in fact more expensive. Because when you conduct, logistically speaking, administratively, when you conduct a primary, an indirect primary, it's just under one roof. For a direct primaries, you have to hold it at every...
Yeah, but the difference is that in the closure of delegates, you can give delegates over 100,000 or 300 or 500,000 per delegate.
No, but that is
for
unofficially.
Unofficially. But for open primary,
this is an extra procedural process where you give money to people.
For direct primaries, you cannot be able to pay that amount.
You're talking about inducement.
Yeah, so you wouldn't put that much inducement.
But I'm talking about the burden on political parties. In terms of their structure and logistics for them to organize the smaller political parties are already talking about this. They're not happy because some of them don't have the wherewithal to conduct
this is where
the direct primaries across everywhere.
This is where the strong will survive. And this is where the strong candidates, you don't have to be in a small political party anymore to be able to contest and win a party ticket to contest for a political election. If you are strong enough, look for a big party that has strength. Go there, register as a member. When the time of election comes, pick up the nomination form and get people to queue behind you. So it gives you more opportunity. It gives you more platform. It gives you more reach.
And independence.
And independence as well. So we're not talking about delegates or whatever. And you have the strength of the big political parties to run on. Now, it also means that political parties will be looking for candidates who can turn in the numbers.
Yes.
You know, so I think it's the best thing that has happened to Nigeria. Today is one of my happiest days in the House of Reps. My happiest day will be when Mr. President assents to I was going to say the budget, to the bill, because you're giving power to the people and you're ensuring transparency with transmission and electronic voting. You know, the value chain will be completed. And I pray Mr. President assents to this bill.
One thing that is also contentious these days. So you are leaving political parties or everyone to just one option. What we had before in the bill is something that is a bit more democratic from from a certain school of thought that is open, so the party can decide what to use. But now, the clause is saying, let me just read it, and the language that is being used is a shall.
Yeah.
It's a very strong language in law.
Must.
So that means it's a must. You have to use direct primaries.
Yeah.
So the question is, why don't you throw it open? Let the political parties decide which one they want to pick.
We have been in politics for many years. We had experience of indirect primaries and even consensus. All turned out to be a problem within the party, that we end up having members of the party going to do anti-party because they were not happy with the way the indirect primaries was conducted. So because of that experience and because of those problems we went through, we said we better go for direct primaries. And that's
so the question, Senator,
yes,
if you have 3 oranges on the table, I could pick, any of, better say, have apple, orange, and pineapple. I could pick out of the 3.
Yeah, you
but
could,
now you're giving me just one.
But you
what
cannot,
if I'm allergic to it?
You know, those
so the question is, why don't you leave it open? It's more democratic.
You know what oligarchy is? Selfish rule of the wealthy few. Yeah, the oligarchs would always want indirect. The populists will always want everybody to be able to participate. Nobody should be scared of that. Democracy is a game of numbers. Democracy means freedom. Let everybody participate in the system and elect or select the leaders they so desire. Don't limit it to a few people. That's tyrannical. If we want our democracy to grow, let people participate. Bet me, mark my words, if Mr. President signs this bill, right, the turnout of voters will go up. Yeah.
How will it affect the turnout of voters?
Yes, because you know
the
integrity.
This clause is just about.
No, let me explain to you. Number 1, you have the card reader, which authenticates the amount of people that can vote. Number 2, the votes are electronically transmitted. Yes. Number 3, they also sign for electronic voting. So you can vote electronically. You know the number of people that are voting. Then immediately there's no collation center, abracadabra, because the transmission is smooth. You can look at what happened in Edo, the election, free and fair. You can look at what happened in Ondo, free and fair. With those 2 introductions, you also limit violence, you limit deaths, and you get your results online, real time. And again, if you're a candidate who is not popular, you already know that you pack your bag, you already know you're going home. So it also gives you the impetus, the strength, the vision to be able to do more so that you can be more electable.
And then you find that political parties will now have to decide on nominating a popular candidate. Because instead of taking a choice of Mr. A or B or any leader of a group that they say, well, his son should be
Senator,
a chairman.
Everybody watches Sheon, they see him all over. He can also go to his local government and contest for election.
I've said it that I'm not interested in politics. I'm just interested in reporting it. Because I don't know how you guys sleep at night. It's something that for me, I don't know. I don't have the heart for it. I have the heart for impact. But trust me, how to play the political game, for as much as I understand, is a lot of people have said it that maybe I should run for office. But I don't have the heart for it. I'm a very calm person in my mind. But,
some of us are calm, but yet we are politicians. So
I don't know how you guys
are calm.
This is my passion, and I love it so much. Let me go to one area, Honorable, that is also very naughty, and the deletion of subsection 3 the electronic transmission. Like, first and foremost, Senator, you guys got born again.
Well, in court.
In court, you got born again. You saw the light. That's what some of your
No,
critics.
they saw what the
House did.
the noble members of the House of Reps did.
No, you see,
And they had to quickly, I like the headline, U-turn.
U-turn,
U-turn, and
you
said,
made a
these
U-turn.
are our young brothers.
No, you see-
They're always very dynamic. They know where they're going.
No, you see,
we better
So
put
was that the case, Senator?
It could be the case, but it may not be the case. But what I'm saying is we saw also the problems when we said electronic transmission. You know, the Senate said electronic voting, but electronic transmission will be subject to availability of network.
And you also said that,
that NCC
that you have
should,
to revert to NCC and the National Assembly.
Then we now
approve.
talk about the independence of INEC, that they got to be independent. So we shouldn't have been putting them into that subjective conditions. And therefore we said, well, let it be. And since we talk of transmission, I will know that some of the elections, not really transmission, but they did like transfer, because the Edo election was not like transmission. What they did was they had the results ready, signed by the agents, signed by the returning officers, announced at the police
Given
station,
to political
and then
parties.
they took pictures
And
of that and send it out like sending a WhatsApp message. So that's like a transfer, not transmission.
I think, sir, sorry, sir. I think the issue had always been the meaning of transmission. I think it got lost in interpretation. Some people looked at transmission as immediately elections are conducted.
And the results are coming up.
Immediately transmitted to the collation center. Some rightfully thought so, that it is after the results have been announced and given to the political parties, the security agencies, and INEC, that is what is transmitted. And that is the right interpretation. And that is what the Senate have now codified in their new amendments, which we agree with.
So the voting, there is one thing that the senators have done now, the clause 52, which talk about voting at an election and transmission of results. You have also infused electronic voting in clause 43. This clause 42 talking about electronic transmission.
That's
so
52.
you have now, that's clause 52.
52.
Clause 43, you have now introduced electronic voting machine.
Yeah. What we mean by that, that's kind of electronic voting machine, we said. It's a machine that you can come, when you come to vote, you see their logo of your party. You
Like
press
what is being used in Kaduna State.
Press your
For
button.
two times now.
Yeah.
They've used it for local government election in Kaduna.
Press the button for the party you wanted, and the machine will now register your vote. At the end of the time for voting on that day, then the machine comes out with a result. And that result will be signed by the agents and everybody who is concerned, even the police people, and then the results have been distributed. A copy of that paper that comes out from the machine is now transferred.
Have you considered all of this into the budget of INEC? Because this means more money.
Because when the INEC have invited vendors to come on who are interested in producing this kind of
electronic voting machines.
Yeah, but that will be it will be under the certifications of INEC.
So what changed now, Senator? So since the last time you insisted that there is no network across the country, now are there now networks in Nigeria?
The procedure is different than what we said now. It's not an issue of network. What we are saying is the result after the voting machine brings out the result.
No, but electronic transmission. You argued, the senators argued that because there's no network, you can't transmit electronically.
So now that's the U-turn.
Yeah.
It's information is power. The day you stop learning is the day you die. Now, I think with better particulars, better evidence, better investigation, if everybody has come to realize that transmission is like scanning, is like faxing. The already determined results are faxed. You don't need network
internet network
for all that. But for electronic voting, yes, that may be subject to coverage, network coverage. Some areas may not have as good enough network. So there's a difference between electronic transmission and electronic voting.
Because finally, we need to go now in 30 seconds. The issue of hacking and remotely controlling the process, because machines that are connected to a database or internet are susceptible to hacking.
Yeah.
Because there was a time in our election that on the day of the election, INEC website was hacked.
So that with the
So to
results.
tell the truth about that, that is an electronic voting
Transmission.
issue,
Yeah.
not an electronic transmission issue.
Yeah.
Because transmission, again, you're faxing or you're scanning already signed and
Document.
distributed results.
All right, because I mean,
But
monitoring.
where they do hacking is when you are transmitting raw results. At the time your voting results are going
Okay.
to the headquarters, then you can hack it at the beginning or middle during transition, or even at the end point.
All right.
So this is what we're trying to
But
do.
Because
now, there's a,
America-
but now there's a paper trail.
Yeah, America
You
does
already
not-
distribute. You already,
America use machines, but they don't transmit real time.
Yeah.
Because they're also worried about that. As electronic as United States elections are, it is not even real time. The machines are there. It's printed, physical. That's how. That's how.
they
That's how I saw.
transmit real time. Then electronic. The voting is semi-manual.
Well, we learn every day. Thank you so much,
You know, in
gentlemen.
Europe too, most of the countries don't do electronic
manual.
voting.
Because they're afraid.
They do
Yeah.
manual. They do manual, but
And
you transmit.
and we are pushing so hard in Nigeria that we have to do this electronic voting and transmit it.
Well, it's good news. Some of the things we were saying, we were hoping that you tidy it up and put it properly. But I want to wish you the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your concern as
Honorable.
somebody who is very much concerned on political activities. As well.
And welcome to Abuja.
And-
Thank you so
Incoming
much.
honorable. You know, politicians will always say, "I don't have an interest. I don't have an interest."
No, for
And
real,
you see
I
his
do not.
posters in a
I
couple
do,
of-
bros.
We will
Mark my
support
words.
you.
I don't. No. Thank you so much, Senator Kabiru Gaya, Chairman of ANEC Committee in the Senate, and Honorable Babajimi Benson, the Chair of the House Committee on Defense. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's a pleasure having you. But that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Okinale. Bye for now.